Hello and welcome to another episode of All Politics is Local. I'm your host, John Tian. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have yet another great show planned for you tonight. With me in the studio are the co-chairs of the group Citizens for Milford, John Seaver and Steve Trettle. John, Steve, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate you guys coming in.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, John, for bringing us here.
You're welcome, and in the interest of full disclosure, I don't want to sit here and pretend to be a disinterested spectator. I'm also a member of the Citizens for Milford core team. I'm happy to participate in our monthly meetings where we plan the activities that we've been able to do for the town. Tonight's discussion is going to be a little bit of a discussion of what we've been doing and where we're going, what we're going to be doing in 2016. As far as what we've been doing, let's talk a little bit about the history of Citizens for Milford.
Okay.
We all came together initially as a result of the casino push that was going on here with Foxwoods back in 2013. You two gentlemen chaired a meeting in March over at Town Hall where I showed up, and that was the first time I ever met the two of you. We started working against the casino at that point. We formed Casino Free Milford, and we won a tremendous victory. 2 year.
We actually started earlier than that.
Yes.
John and I had been attending some function up at the Portuguese Club,
Yes.
and John approached me and said, "What do you think about this casino they're talking about?" And we had a little conversation, and he said, "Why don't we try to do something?" So
Yeah.
that was the start with
Right.
John and I.
Exactly. I mean, it was, at that time, there was no opposition. They were coming in and moving money around and chit-chatting with people, and they had, it was all a green light. And, I mean, when we started talking, we realized that there's a lot of negatives related to it. And it's hard to believe it's the 2-year anniversary.
Right. Just this past November 19th was the 2-year anniversary of that momentous vote and our tremendous celebration afterwards. What morphed into our victory party.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible, on any issue to get, I think we got 66 or 67% of the vote when it was finally tallied, which is, two-thirds. That's really incredible. Because normally, it's 52, 48,
Right.
on any issue.
Right, and especially when we look at the turnout in town, too. For a single-issue ballot question,
Yes.
that the turnout was tremendous. The turnout was like 57, 58% of the registered voters.
I want to say that the real credit goes to the citizens of Milford.
Yep.
They started listening. We could have been nothing if they weren't listening to us. Okay, we did the research, we gave them the information, and they responded in spades. Milford voters are smart.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
But what they needed was the information, not the PR.
Right. They needed real information and,
Yeah.
and some real facts on the ground and really to make up their minds the right way.
One of the things that amazed me when I look back 2 years from now, or 2 years after the vote, I could sense, from being in professional business myself, that their business plan did not make sense.
Right.
They were trying to expand when they were having all kinds of competition going against them right around the immediate area, pulling away from Foxwoods. And it didn't make sense. The numbers didn't make sense. They were having a hard time staying in business as they were, let alone with the other competition. So how could they be promising all of this, all of the money that we're supposedly going to give to the town?
And not only that, but look what's going on in Plainville.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Steve, and you bring up a good point. I mean, if we had gone forward with the casino, now with Plain Ridge, which is 10 minutes away, down 495, and with the Native American Indians winning their federal issue, they're going to build a huge casino in Taunton, which is right down 495, another 15 or 20 minutes. That would have been direct competition with Foxwoods and Milford.
Absolutely. Yep.
And these brick and mortar kind of businesses are really antiquated. I mean, the future is with the sports betting. It's really online.
It is.
That's where things are moving. That's the future, not these huge white elephants, so to speak.
A thing of the past.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
would have been caught up with that kind of a
Yeah.
white elephant.
Sure, and we also can see what's going on out in Springfield too. The plans for the Springfield casino,
greatly
they
reduced.
they shrunk it again.
Yeah.
And now the state of Connecticut is saying, well, we're going to build a casino in Enfield.
Of course.
So that if anybody wants to drive up 91 to go to a casino, well, they can stop in Enfield and not take the money out of Connecticut, right?
Right, I mean, you're right, the Springfield Casino was gonna be $800 million as an investment. And so everybody's sort of looking at their share. Now it's down to 500 million.
Yeah.
So everybody's share is, this is it before even the first brick has been laid.
Yep, yep.
So this is the kind of industry we'd be dealing with.
Yeah, and we see the casino, their slots parlor down there in Plain Ridge, their revenues are already suffering. Their revenues are already way down.
Of course,
So-
you know, it's a business that doesn't have a big future
Right.
except online.
Right, right. So that's a little bit of the history of Citizens for Milford. We got together in January following our successful referendum against the casino in November of 2013. January 2014, we got together over at your place, Steve.
Yep.
We had a nice dinner and we talked about it and said, should we stay together? And the energy was in the room and everybody was positive about it and said, yes, we should absolutely stay together. We changed our name to Citizens for Milford.
Well,
so
we
were able
kept
to-
the initials,
Kept the
right?
initials,
Yeah.
kept the color scheme.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what we were planning on doing. All we knew was we wanted to stay together and have some impact on Milford, to do
Yep.
something as,
To do something positive for the
to
town.
do
But
something
we
positive.
did know a couple of things. We knew that we were gonna be apolitical. We
Mm-hmm.
were gonna be politically neutral,
Right,
okay? Because what I credit most of our success in the casino battle was, we were just presenting facts. And facts anybody could look up and see that they're the truth,
right,
you know?
right. And being apolitical, we have in our core group, we have such a diverse field of people. I mean, just from,
Yeah.
from
Just me and you.
exactly opposite ends of the spectrum, Steve and I.
It really is. It's probably half women and half men. It's half liberal, half conservative,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some in the middle. I mean, but
Well, what a congenial group it is.
you know, everybody in the group wants to get to yes and wants to be practical and solve problems. So we really don't have these great, you know, areas where we disagree, because we talk it out and, you know, we basically reach consensus almost all the time.
Right, right,
We don't approach a project unless we have consensus with the core group.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
know.
it's really working quite well. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done in those 2 years. Well, actually, not quite 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January. So, what we've done, we've got quite a list. I've got a few bullet points here. We
Yeah.
did candidates forum. Our first candidates forum was in March of 2014. Just a couple of months after we had formed, we had candidates for school board, candidates for library trustee.
Yeah.
There wasn't a contested race for selectmen that year, so we didn't have the selectmen there. What else did we have? We had a couple of, was it Board of Health?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
a highway surveyor.
Highway surveyor and
Yeah.
Board of Health, yeah. So we had a really nice turnout over at the library. We got the
Yes.
granite room at the library, and we had a nice turnout for that, standing room only crowd.
Well, frankly, I was very surprised at the turnout.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, Milford citizens are not dumb when it comes to really when the important issues come up. They're going to vote, and usually they always vote very intelligently.
Yep, yeah. And
You see that at town meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Town meeting is another example. That's something that we'll get to. We're actually working on some reforms in town meeting, but we'll get to that when we get to the projects that we're currently working on with
Sure.
Citizens for Milford.
Right,
So,
but you're right. So we had the local candidates forum or debate, and then in the fall, we had the state,
the state legislative debate.
right.
Yep,
Which-
where we had Dick Moore and Ryan Fatman.
Yes.
And we also had Mark Reel and John Fernandez.
That's right. And so we've learned, I mean, a lot of the skills that we developed at Casino Free Milford, you know, working the crowd, dealing with people, we have transferred over to running these forums. I
Yep.
mean, that's been, you know, I mean, it is a learning curve, being the moderator.
Universally, the feedback has been wonderful.
Yeah,
People
it's
have told us
because it truly is the people's forum.
Right.
All we do is facilitate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But we make sure that all of the questions come from the citizens of Milford
Yep.
that
Yeah.
show up,
Well,
and they like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, we just had one with State Rep John Fernandez and Senator Ryan Fatman, about a month ago. And we deliberately had there was no paper, there was no agenda, there was it was just show up at 7 o'clock, and the citizens can ask any question they want. I mean, it's really the first time that I can remember where people are actually connecting one-on-one in an informal way with their representatives in
John
Boston.
started off by saying, this is John, and this is Ryan.
Yeah.
And that's what this forum is going to
And
be
that's
about.
what this forum is all about.
And it
yeah.
was like we're talking here.
Right. It was a tremendous turnout that we had there. That was over at St. Mary's this past September.
And such intelligent questions, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great
Yeah.
questions. Great. It was a great forum. It really was.
Yeah.
The video was on Milford TV
Yes.
for a while. Milford TV came over and taped it. It's also still available on our website, citizensformilford.com, if anybody wants to go
Yeah.
and get a look at it there.
John said to me after the forum, he said, if I were to do this, no one would come because they think I'm just pushing my point of view.
Right.
With having a completely independent, non-political organization put this on, gives credibility
Sure.
to it.
John
Sure.
Fernandez, you're talking.
Yeah, John
Yes.
Fernandez, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was tickled. They were very happy to have participated, and they actually want to do it again.
Well, absolutely, and I see no reason why we shouldn't. We should absolutely do those. They should be a regular occurrence. I have no qualms about doing that again
Yeah.
and again. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So another one of the great things that we did in 2015, after we did have some successes, like I said, in 2014, a couple of candidates forums. But then in 2015, Amy Sanborn came up with the idea of doing a Milford Beautification Day.
Yeah.
She worked with the Milford Farmers Market to coordinate all of it. Cameron, if you could bring up the first of our cleanup images onto the screen. We have
All right.
Join us for Cleanup Day, 9 to 1. And let's go to the second image. Here we had Republic Services, our trash hauler in town. They made a donation to us of $1,500 to enable the cleanup day. And we used all of the materials that they gave us to really, really good effect. And let's go to the third image, please, for cleanup day. We also had the local Girl Scout troop showed up to do fluorescent light bulb recycling. I had an absolute blast with those girls. Also with the images there, Cameron. I had an absolute blast with those girls, talking to them about, they were saying that they had to get the CFL bulbs out of the waste stream.
Yeah.
Because of the mercury that was in them. And so I went over and spoke to them. I said, how many of you have read Alice in Wonderland? And of course they all had. And so I said, well, you remember the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland? And they said, oh yeah, we remember the Mad Hatter. I said, well, do you know why he was mad? And none of them did.
Yeah.
And the reason that the Mad Hatter was mad was because of mercury. Hatters in those days used mercury compounds in their hats, and by the end of their lives they'd be crazy because the mercury would have embedded itself into their circulatory systems, and it would be eaten away at their brains. And so we had a really lovely conversation
Wow.
about the Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter, and why he was mad and why mercury is a bad compound. And so that was wonderful. The leaders of the Scout troop were really happy with me that I came over and gave them such a nice object lesson. So
Yeah.
that was a blast, the
Yeah.
cleanup day.
The turnout for the cleanup day was amazing, too.
It was. We had,
I don't know what, it's happened every time we put something on. We don't expect a lot,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden,
And the town turns out.
town
Yeah, well,
turns out.
There was, as you say, there was a Girl Scout group, but there was several church groups that just
Yeah.
showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't invite them, we didn't even know they were coming. I mean,
Right.
so that was great. But the other thing was, several of the Selectman Buckley came out, and Selectman Murray were there,
Yeah.
picking up trash.
Yeah.
Just like
Administrator Villani
Yeah,
was
Rick,
there.
Rick Villani
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
there. There was Kenny Evans from the Board of Health, and I think Paul Mazzucchelli was there. The people from the Republic Services, our trash collector people. I mean, that was they were all there. But it's nice to see. I mean, Chief O'Laughlin was there, and we had assistance from him. We had the correctional officers, the prisoners.
Right, we had the prisoners the day before, right? Cleaning up Dilla Street area, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
That was just a really tremendous day. On a personal note, I did rush the season and wear shorts and learned a harsh lesson Poison ivy in April is really bad. I got one of the worst
Always
cases.
wear gloves.
Oh, never mind gloves,
mind
wear
the gloves.
pants.
Yeah.
I was over, I think I got it over on Fortune Boulevard. I was on Fortune Boulevard wading down into the weeds. I pulled out a 4x8 sheet of plywood and a broken down shopping cart, all manner of stuff I pulled out of the weeds over there, and I think that's where I got the poison ivy.
We even thought, I was driving a truck going around picking up the bags,
Yes, yeah.
and we even had this huge mattress and box spring that
Yep.
somebody just tossed off the edge of the road.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Steve had a sit-down job that day. The
Yeah, I
rest of
did.
us are walking around in the cold.
I'm proud to say that I have a truck as well, and I was driving around that day
Yeah, good
myself.
deal. Well, my truck's
the
bigger
same.
than yours.
But, the great thing is, Amy Sanborn sort of organized it and got it all done. She's a member of our core group.
Yep.
But we're going to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll be doing that again in April of 2016.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to mention, by the way, when we have quarterly meetings, and we invite the public to quarterly meetings, and we listen to them, and they bring ideas, okay? And after the quarterly meeting, we get together as a core group, and we decide what we can handle.
Right, well, we sift
and
through those ideas.
We sift
yeah.
through those ideas, and the ones that we reach consensus on, then one or several members of the core group take the lead on that. In this case, it was Amy.
Yep.
And other activities that we've been on, different other people
Yep.
take the lead. So it really works well.
And we also worked closely with Jennifer DeMontiang of the Milford Farmers Market
Yes.
for that day. She was instrumental in making that happen as well. What did we have? 150 T-shirts that we were handing out.
Yeah.
And we went through all of them.
Yeah.
We ran out of T-shirts.
T-shirts.
We had at least
At the
200
cleanup day,
volunteers.
you're talking
On the
about.
cleanup day,
Yes, yeah.
We had at least 200 volunteers show up that day.
Yeah.
And that was just really
And by
tremendous.
the way, the results were great too.
We filled a dumpster over at the transfer station.
More
with
than
trash.
that.
More than a dumpster.
More than a
Yeah.
dumpster, yeah.
I personally picked up 33 of those gigantic bags of trash, along with all the other stuff that I helped pull out of the woods when I showed up at one location to pick up bags, but there was stuff down in the woods that that particular person couldn't handle.
That's
so
where you got the poison
That's where I
ivy,
got
right?
the poison ivy. Yeah.
Right, but it wasn't just a downtown cleanup. I mean,
Right.
it was obviously the downtown was there was a lot of trash there, but it really extended all the way down Route 16 past Sacred Heart,
Yep.
all the way to the 109-16 interchange,
I was
and
over
even
on-
further.
I was over on Beaver Street pulling bags out
Yeah.
on
See,
Beaver Street.
the residential roads, people take care of them. They live there and they take care of them.
Right.
But the the main drags,
The main thoroughfares, yeah.
it's like nobody really owns them. So
Yeah, but
That's
what as Steve said, when we do something, we bring it back and we chat, and we look what we did right and what we did wrong. So, for instance, when we do the one next year in May, we're going to tweak it a little bit.
I'm going to wear pants.
You're going to wear pants. We're going to have gloves.
yeah,
And but we're going to extend it. We might try to include the school kids,
Sure.
for instance, and
Sure.
and incorporate, get a jump on bringing in other groups into it, because that's really the best way is to. We're a citizen group, but there's all kinds of other groups. There's the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, and there's businesses.
The
You
Upper
got to bring
Charles
them in.
Trail Committee. There's dozens of organizations in town.
Yes, and you wanna connect with them and bring them into your events, and so that's sort of, I think, what we're gonna try to do on the cleanup day, but also many of the other events that we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a tremendous day. I'm really looking forward to next year's again too. Also in April, we had our public meeting with Chief O'Loughlin.
the quarterly.
The
Yeah.
public quarterly meeting with Chief O'Loughlin and Scott Crisafulli. That was really well received. We had an absolutely great discussion with the chief, all about Milford policing and stuff like that. And Scott was great too, having just come out of a pretty horrible winter period where he had to spend a lot of money on snow removal.
Yeah.
As they talked and chatted with back and forth with citizens that were there, I was really taken back by how very professional those two are.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the knowledge that they have and the programs that they put into place.
Mm-hmm.
and how on top of new technology, you know, highway surveyor is now, Scott.
Yeah, yeah. And,
Really
and
on top
the
of it.
chief did an admirable job too with his new computer budget and stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Of
course.
he revamped his computers in the police department for I think $25,000. That is short money for a computer project, and so you know he really did well.
Oh, yeah.
And he was tremendous to talk
That
to.
department is so well managed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of the time it was taken up talking about the drug and the opiate crisis, which of course has become front and center both in the state and nationally. But he, you know, we invited him to talk for about a half an hour. He stayed for an hour and a half, fielding question after question and going into detail about it, and you know, so that, you know, we hope to replicate that with other town officials as we move forward into 2016.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We have to continue to do that. Giving the citizens an opportunity to talk to either their elected or appointed officials in town I think it's just invaluable. It's just yet another of the invaluable services
It is. I mean,
that we provide.
Works both ways too, because they can get direct feedback from the citizens.
Right, right.
Which they would normally be insulated from.
Right. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I did manage to talk to the chief about was the tours that you can do at the Milford Police Station. And you know, he mentioned, he says, you know, it's the kind of thing where, you know, 90% of the people have never seen the inside of a police station because either they're not police officers or they're not criminals. So they don't see the inside of the police station. And it's really wonderful to be able to do that. I was working with Jennifer DeMoncian of the Farmers Market a couple of years ago, and we had an opportunity to go to the police station and take a tour. I would highly recommend it for anybody. They actually do birthday parties and stuff like that, so you
Really?
can bring your kids in.
Wow.
Yeah, and let them see. Apparently the kids are just fascinated by...
Talk about community policing, huh?
Exactly, but
Yeah.
they're fascinated by things like what in the cell, the prisoner doesn't have control over flushing the toilet. There's a button outside the cell that you push to flush the toilet. So they're fascinated by that, and they're constantly pushing
Yeah.
that button.
you know, the chief has done a great job, and I mean, I guess he's been here since 2003 or 2004, so what is it, maybe 12 years?
Mhm.
And, you know, I can remember before he got here, there was real problems with the police department. They were arguing, and it was getting in the paper and so forth. But he really cleaned it up, I mean, and you know, got it all professionally organized. He had previously been the police chief in the town of Wellesley and Wayland, and he was the MBTA police chief.
Okay.
So he really had a great resume, and we
Yeah.
benefited from that.
Oh yeah, certainly. The Chief O'Loughlin is just a tremendous public servant.
Yep.
Really is. So let's see, what else have we supported the farmers market with the article on the warrant to change the zoning so
Yeah.
that they could actually hold the market closer to the center of town.
They
over
were in a tough
over the town park area.
location.
Yeah,
You know, really off the beaten track. Nobody knew they were there, and
right.
you know,
Right.
it didn't work. And
You mean up on Dilla Street?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, parking and you know, all kinds of,
So now next season they're going to be over at Stacy Middle School,
Yes.
Yeah.
right off of Town Park, and,
Right.
right in the center of town.
Yes.
That ought to be
Lots of
really-
room.
Lots of room. That
Plenty
ought to
of
be really
parking.
tremendous
Plenty of
for them. Plenty of
parking,
parking.
and,
Yeah.
and there's trees and shade, which they wanted, and
Yeah.
and so forth. So I think that's all going to be a net improvement.
Yeah, the farmers were really concerned about, the first place that we put the farmers market was the parking lot over at Town Hall.
Town Hall, yeah.
And they were very concerned about that because trying to keep your produce and other items fresh while standing on pavement, hot pavement is the enemy of keeping anything fresh.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're certainly looking forward to, like you said, the shade and the grass and all that kind of stuff to be able to have a really well done market. So
And another, you know, benefit to townsfolk to be able to have a farmer's market.
Yeah, yeah.
And get fresh produce.
Oh, that fresh produce is wonderful. I'll go to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning, and I'll eat great all weekend with
Right.
tomatoes and heirloom tomatoes and stuff like that. The
Right.
potatoes and. all
I'll
that.
go out on a limb and say that this new location, the attendance and participation with the farmers market is going to double or triple.
I would think so. Yeah.
Both the vendors coming in and the general population showing up. I think it's going to be a big improvement.
Oh yeah, absolutely a net gain for the town. So the farmers market is a great thing to have I really like to commend Chen Yan for putting that all together. More or less in memory of David Morganelli too.
Yes.
That was David's idea.
It
and,
was.
His mother is on our core committee for Citizens for Milford, and of course David was very instrumental with the Casino Free
casino, yeah.
Milford group.
Yes,
He came,
yeah.
he gradually came and he started speaking at our events, and
He
couple of-
really dug into the business aspects of the casino.
Right.
And really, that got an awful lot of good information out to the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was. He's an attorney. He was an attorney, and he was tremendous.
And he was a CPA at the same time.
He was, and he made a speech. We had this big rally at the town hall,
Yep.
and hundreds of people were there. And
That was the night the Sox won the World Series.
I believe so. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
But David did. He gave such a tremendous, passionate speech that night. I still have a copy of it on video. Remember that, Steve?
Yes, I do.
It was really for anybody that was on the fence. That speech probably turned them around.
Yeah.
It wasn't just emotional either, it was credible.
Yes, it was credible.
From the heart.
Right.
He did his homework and knew
Yeah.
what he was talking about, and quite a loss.
Yeah, quite a loss. Yep. So another great thing that we did in 2015 was the First Responders Day.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And Cameron, if you could bring up, just go right through all of the first responders images while we're talking, and then just come back to us. So
Yeah.
we have some images. Here we are, Brookside Elementary School. Thank you, first responders. First Responders Day, September the 27th
Yes.
every year, right?
Well, yeah, well, a lot of people were not familiar with first responders, particularly around here, because it's not a national holiday. But it turns out that Governor Baker, proclaimed that September 27th would be recognized as First Responders Day. 26 other states do the same thing. So
Okay.
it's really spreading across the country to thank all the police, fire, and EMT personnel that keep us safe. And this was really the first, go at this. And the community really got behind it. All the schools had signs. Many of the businesses had thank you signs. Mike Walsh, the chairman of the school committee, organized two rallies at the schools where the kids came, and there was some speaking and so forth. And Selectman Chairman Murray brought both chiefs in to the selectmen's meeting and thanked them and so forth. So it really, there was, what else went on? There was just the businesses, and there was the selectmen being involved,
And first responders and policemen came to that selectmen's meeting.
That's
And
right.
you could tell they were really gratified.
Yes.
You know.
So
Well, these guys
Yeah.
have a difficult job.
And by the way, John was the guy that stepped up to lead this for CFM.
There you go.
well, thanks, Steve. I mean, so next year we're going. This was really the first time we did this. So next year we're going to. We have more time for planning, so we're going to enhance it, make it a little bit. We'll add some things. We've got some ideas. But we're going to give people more of a heads up that this thing is going to maybe have a small speaking presentation, have the chief speak, maybe some political people. But we're looking forward to September 27th of 2016.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's see, what else were we working on last year? We talked about the conversation with state legislators. Don't know that we have that much more from our history. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing these days, what we're up to now, where we're going, and all that kind of good stuff.
I'll start off by saying I think our flagship effort this year is to bring town meeting into the 21st century in terms of technology, in terms of rules, in terms of procedures. And there are many, many ways that we can improve the efficiency and the voting intelligence of people that are town meeting members.
And
By
now
giving them the appropriate information way ahead of time.
Right.
not, on your seat when you walk into the meeting, so you
Right,
can
5
rubber
minutes before the
stamp
meeting,
something.
yeah.
You can't even read this stuff.
Now this is yet another initiative that grew out of one of our public meetings.
It did.
We
yes.
had one of our public meetings at the library.
Reno
and
DeLuzio.
Reno DeLuzio
said,
came in.
I have a kind of idea you guys might be interested in. And actually, we've got Reno to help out with this effort,
Of course.
too.
That's how we do things, right?
Right, but Steve, you went to a selectmen's meeting and got,
Yeah.
authorization to form this committee under the control of Citizens for Milford.
Milford, yes.
But we're gonna get people from various precincts to participate. I mean, Jose Costa is gonna be the chair.
Chair of this committee.
Mhm.
But the representative, the people that are going to be on this committee are one member from each precinct, 3 members appointed by the selectmen, and 3 members from Citizens from Milford.
Mhm.
And Jose Costa is the chairperson for it. And we've got a good response from precinct members that we've asked.
Good. Do you have any
enjoy
idea when the meetings might begin for that?
First of the year.
First of the year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in January.
Great.
And it'll probably take a good
A good
12,
year.
12 months to come up with, learning what the issues are and prioritizing.
But in the meantime, this whole past year here, Reno and Jose have gone around to different towns.
To
and
see how
found
other
out
towns are
how
doing
tha-
it.
How they do
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
and come up with some very unique, great ideas.
Yeah, I like the electronic voting. And,
Electronic voting
yeah.
is a big thing. How efficient would that make the voting?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
also, it would allow people that feel uncomfortable standing up or speaking
Right.
to be able to vote what they really
Vote
think.
their
without,
conscience
you know,
rather than what everybody else is
everybody
doing.
looking at them,
Right.
Right.
I know that I served as precinct captain for Precinct 5 when I was a town meeting member for a while.
Yeah.
And the voting is problematic. I mean, I've got to count everybody when they're standing for a yes vote. I've got to know that a couple of my precinct members are over on the finance committee, so I got to count over there. I got to, it wasn't so easy. It's not the easiest task in the world to manage that. And if the electronic voting were to come to pass, that would make life a whole lot easier.
Right. There's a lot of issues they're gonna look at beyond that. I mean, for instance, attendance is an issue. I believe there's 240 town meeting members.
Right.
But you never see 240 people show up. You see, on average.
140.
Well, not even. It's about 100, for the annual meeting in May, June. You get 100, 110 people show up out of 240. So what are these other people doing? I mean, why are they you have to get elected as a town meeting member. You have to get signatures and then and get elected, and then not show up. I mean, you're squeezing out. There's plenty of people that, because I've talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that would like to be town meeting members, but aren't, and because there's a lot of people that are town meeting members and don't show up.
Right.
And they're taking that slot, and it's 3 years, and that's a long time, and so forth. So they're going to look at that to see if there's some way of improving attendance, or moving people. Finding out if you're not going to show up, can you open it up for somebody else?
And part of the efficiency idea is, it can be kind of boring.
Right.
Sitting
Right.
there and going through all these kind of like antique procedures.
Right, never mind boring, it can be a little long-winded and and taking a little bit of time. I mean, you
Yes.
go in at 7 o'clock, 7:30, you're there until midnight.
Yeah.
It can take too long for people
And
to
so
wanna
increasing the
participate.
efficiency while delivering all the information ahead of time so people know what they're voting on
Right,
is, kind of our goal.
right. Let's increase the quality of town meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a great project, and I'm really
And
proud of Citizens.
we're
for Milford.
hoping that by increasing the efficiency and quality, now we'll get a lot more citizens
Right.
interest in being a town meeting
Right,
member.
a lot more participation.
Yes.
And I've said it a million times, democracy only works when we all participate. That's the whole
You
thing.
betcha.
I mean, I think, we've chatted, going around and around why there's not a lot of controversy at town meeting, or, and, it really comes down to the fact is, Milford has a lot of, compared to other towns, has a lot of extra money. You know, it's not only avoiding overrides, which is, you know, one way of looking at, you know, how well a town is doing. But all the area towns have, you know, Hopkinton has overrides, Mendon has overrides. But Milford isn't even, we're not even close to that.
Right.
And so when you have a lot of money to do the things you want to do, it's easy to reach consensus. There's no, you know, it's money is what creates conflict, the lack of money, or that you have to prioritize to do some things and not others.
Right, but
and that
yeah.
all comes down to limited resources. But Milford really doesn't, at the moment, have limited resources. You know, I mean, we're not even, you know, we've got several funds that have, you know, I think I heard last week there's something like $33 million in various stabilization funds or other funds in the town. So it's hard to get people motivated on if everything is sort of on automatic pilot and you have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't have a lot of money and you need to go for overrides, you would have a huge participation.
You'd have a fight.
You would have a fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
You agree,
Well,
Steve?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but what we'd like to do is to take our advantage, a financial advantage, and also add a lot of participation by citizens in
Yes.
the town meeting process.
Yeah.
That's,
I love town meeting. It's the core of democracy.
it really
Yeah.
is. It's the
It
purest
really
form of
is.
democracy, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Steve's you've been a town meeting member for a couple of decades.
Yes.
Right.
And as inefficient as it is now, I still love it. I love the idea
Yeah.
that, you know, citizens can, you know, because bottom line is the town meeting members, the citizens who vote for the town meeting members, and the town meeting members hold the purse.
Right.
They can say no.
Right.
You're not going to spend it.
Remember a couple of years ago, Brian Murray and Mark Wasserman had a contested race for selectman. I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. Last time Brian ran, I think, he had a contested race for selectman with Mark Wasserman. And somebody interviewed a voter, I think it was a Milford Patch or somewhere. They interviewed voters after the election. And this particular voter said, well, I would have voted for Wasserman. But I went with Murray in the end because he's got the experience, and I really feel like, you know, him with the experience, you know, that really counts, and that's why I cast my vote that way. Well, a commenter on the article said, "Oh, for crying out loud, how is someone supposed to get experience if you won't vote for him?" And so I replied to that, and I said, "Well, you know what, Mr. Wasserman might want to run for town meeting." That's what I did.
Yeah.
It gave me experience
That's
in
for
how this
sure.
town is
Right.
governed. And you
Yeah.
know what? To his credit, he did
He
that.
did.
He
Good for
did.
him.
He came
Is
in.
that right?
He actually came into the subsequent town meeting and got himself elected by the meeting members that were present because there was a vacancy in his precinct.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of him for that.
Absolutely. I mean, people, having been a selectman in town, you know, people think, well, the selectmen have a lot of power, or they might think that the finance committee has a lot of power. You know, I could tell you from firsthand, no, there is, you know, selectmen, they might make an appointment here or an appointment there, or, you know, we might renew licenses for, you know, give a license to a business or not. You know, but these are a handful of things that happen over the course of a year. It's really, town meeting has all the power. The 100 people that show up and vote control they control the money, the policies, you know, and what happens.
the bylaws.
The
selectmen
bylaws, the zoning laws.
Yeah.
the selectmen don't, and the finance, they are basically, the finance committee is a recommending body, and the selectmen is sort of the executive, but it's very, you know, it's a very small piece. You know, Milford is divided into, for instance, the sewer department, they're separately elected, so the selectmen have no power over that. The school committee has a jurisdiction over the schools. The selectmen have, you know,
Very little power over that.
very little power over that, and several of the town clerk is still elected, right? The town, you know,
Yeah.
so that's another area that selectmen have no say over, and so there's really just an area in the middle that the selectmen have the power. But I would say 90% of the power rests at town meeting.
If they want it,
Well,
if they participate, if
whether
they really vote.
Well, whether they participate or not, they still have it. It's, you know, if only 100 people show up, guess what?
those 100 people have the power.
They have the power, and that's really what's
The
happening.
power of the purse is everything.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to everybody's hearts, our Christmas tree that we just
Oh, yeah.
put
Yes.
together and donated over at Draper Park. We're looking forward to. Today is December the 2nd. I don't know that my show will be on the air by December 4th, or that this particular episode will be on the air by December 4th, but December 4th we're doing a tree lighting over there at Draper Park, 7 p.m. I think it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Have
Yep.
that right? Okay.
Friday night.
Yep, Friday night, this coming
Friday
Friday.
night, 7 p.m. It's not
yeah.
going to be a long ceremony,
No,
maybe
but
a half hour or less.
Hot chocolate and cookies
chocolate,
and light the tree.
cookies,
Just right across from the
Panera
police station.
cookies.
Panera Bread Company donated the cookies.
Excellent.
And
Let me tell you how that came about.
Sure.
One of our core committee members, Claudia Scandoni, had this vision of, remembering every year how it used to be up at Town Park. Everything lit up, and Main Street lit up with lights, and just this, she had this vision that she really wanted to make happen. So when we said, Claudia, that's a pretty good idea. How would you start? He said, I would start by planting a Christmas tree that we can decorate and light, and start from there, and then grow into bringing the town back the way we used to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
And to her credit, she stuck with that.
She did.
And
Yep.
we finally reached a
yeah,
consensus that, okay, Claudia.
it was a great idea, and it was all based on donations. Every member of the core group just donated a few dollars to buy the Christmas tree.
Right.
Quite a few.
And everything really fell in line because, Mike Prashani was very helpful in organizing this with the Parks Department, and the tree warden, Chuck Renault, has been involved. O'Donnell Electric will be, all of this is donated time and services. They have to run a special electric line to run the lights and so forth.
Right.
And our committee is going to decorate, and we've got some wreaths. We
Yeah.
purchased a couple of wreaths that are at the park, and
Yep.
so it's a start.
But the thing is, came from an idea, One person said, the way it used to be, we used to have this great celebration in the community by lighting up Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
And, by God, it's become a reality.
Well, but there you go. That's the beauty of Citizens for Milford. Someone comes in with an idea,
Yeah.
and we say, that's great. Like you said, how would you start?
That's
Take the bull by the horns
it
and
and-
get it done.
You know what?
Yeah.
Anybody that is on that core committee have just jumped right in.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, there's no arm twisting or hoping that somebody was going to take it.
Right. Right.
You know.
No washing of the hands
No
of it or
washing the
anything.
hands.
Yeah.
Everybody jumps in and helps.
Yep.
There were a lot of half a dozen people on the core committee that really worked with Claudia
Well,
to make the thing happen.
And
Yeah.
even since the planting, there's been an email exchange going on of who can get down there with some water to water the tree.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to water it.
All
You got to
that's
get
been-
lights.
Yeah, all that's been going on.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a beautiful tree, and it's going to grow every year. I think
Well, it's 9 feet right now. It's going to grow
Yeah.
a foot a year.
Oh, and here I'm being remiss. Cameron, I do have a picture of the Christmas tree.
Oh,
If you
let's
could,
see
if you
it.
could bring
Sure.
up that picture of the tree, please. Let's get a look at it. There it is.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah,
Boy.
it's beautiful,
Look at
isn't
that.
it? And that's going to look really nice when it's decorated. And I suppose we'll put a star on top and all that good stuff.
Right, it's right on Main Street.
Yep, right on Main Street.
Right across from
There's
the police
an
station.
invitation that's out on our.
Yeah, exactly. At
On our
citizensformilford.com, people can go out and see that invitation to come over to the tree lighting ceremony
Yeah.
Right.
this Friday.
I
Friday.
hope we'll get a great turnout.
I
you
hope
know?
so too. I
It's
think
the
we will.
start,
We usually do.
Yeah.
and maybe the finish of this be next year when all the trees are lit up in town
There you
park.
go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Steve brings up a good point. You start with one thing and you make that happen. And then you want to do it again the next year, but you enhance it, you
Just
expand
a
it.
little incremental improvement.
Yeah. And you say, well, no big deal. They planted a Christmas tree. But, that required an awful lot because what the group did was they pulled together, the Parks Department,
Mm-hmm.
the DPW, dug the hole, planted the tree. And they liaison with, who's the nursery, the Western
Western
Nursery,
Nurseries. Yep.
who,
yeah.
by the way, gave us the tree for a cut rate.
For a song, more or less.
Yeah, well, I was, yeah.
Yeah, like
It
half.
was a few
half.
dollars.
About
but yeah,
half
but
price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
And we have to get, I mean,
And then O'Donnell Electric came in as a private company and donated the light work.
Excellent.
You know, so it took a lot of coordination to get this done and get the ball rolling here.
Yeah.
so we're excited about it.
Absolutely. I'm tremendously excited about it too. I think we've done quite well with that project, and good job to Claudia and Peter. Peter was working on it as well. So good
She
job
put him
to
to
the
work.
two. She put him to work. Let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming up for 2016. We've got another cleanup day that we're looking at.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got, I think the first Saturday in May is the tentative date.
Okay.
And as we talked about, we're gonna do everything we did last year, and then more, expand it to include more and more local groups. So that'll be fun.
Um,
Maybe we should get more T-shirts this time since we ran out last time.
Yeah, good idea.
Yes, I mean,
John, by the way, is held the session last, our monthly meeting with the core group to kind of like look at strategically the whole year and what we're going to do in the different months.
Yeah.
So he did a good job on this, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
now.
when you're with a group, when you have a group of people, you always, once a year or some time, you need to step back and look at what you're doing, your vision, and say, are we going in the right direction? Do we need to change course? Do we need to add something?
Right.
Is this really what we want to do? You have to really kick the tires, and so we're going to do this planning thing once a year, and it'll, it may be, well, let's do this and let's do that. So who knows? I mean, this group has, we've who knows the kind of things that we've been, if you had asked me 2 years ago, this is where we are, I would have said, no way. It could have been, things really just evolved sort of slowly.
Sort of organically.
Sort of organic.
Organically,
Yeah.
and the best part about it is many of these ideas came from the quarterly meetings that we have with the public.
With the public. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as Steve, so we're going to have 3 quarterly public meetings in 2016. We'll have one in February, another one in May, and then another one in the fall.
Right. We typically skip the summer because people are vacationing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so right now we're working with Congressman Kennedy's office. Steve has graciously took the lead on that and met with the congressman. So we're trying to get Congressman Joe Kennedy to come and sit down with the citizens of Milford and sometime in May. But that's pretty close to
That's
being
pretty close to being happening.
Yeah.
But, one of the reasons he had a tough time, a couple of reasons, with his schedule was, he wants to be in Washington when they're in session.
Sure.
Doesn't want to miss it. So we're working around that, and that schedule is not fully out yet. And the other thing is, he just had a baby.
Oh,
His wife just
okay.
had a baby,
There you
and
go.
He's got to do some fatherly responsibilities there too.
Yeah, it's never an easy time transitioning
So-
into fatherhood.
But he definitely is going to do that.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
And then, so we're trying to figure out the other public sessions, who to have. So we're thinking maybe all 3 selectmen can come, either in the February timeframe or maybe in the fall. And in other words, have an opportunity for people to sit across from the selectmen.
Like this.
Like this.
Not with the formality of
Of the
a
Board of Selectmen
selectmen's
meeting, yeah,
and
yeah.
all the procedures that they have to go through.
Right.
Right. And some of the selectmen, like I know Selectman Kincaid has office hours where he meets with constituents sort of one-on-one. And that's great. So we're in here, but that's usually, they go there on a specific personal issue
Right.
that they want to discuss. But this is not really that. This is, sort of more general questions, or they can be personal and specific, but they're open to the public. We got the TVs, and we've got reporters are there from the town crier. So it's not like if there's anything you want private, it's not gonna be discussed there. That, you can do one-on-one with the selectmen on that. But
Right.
so we'll have the selectmen, we hope to get the 3 selectmen together. And then we'll have to figure out, you know, we're thinking maybe the town clerk, or maybe Chief O'Laughlin again, maybe the new fire chief, Bill Toohey. You know, we'll talk about it at our core group and decide.
Rick
you know.
Villani, you know, the
Rick
town
Villani,
administrator,
that's
you
a
know,
good
nobody
one.
knows what he does. He does a lot of stuff.
He does, yeah, he's a busy
And,
guy.
you know, people need to know that. Yeah, actually, that was a revelation to people when we had Ryan Fatman and John Fernandes there. All the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
People were amazed
Oh, yeah.
how busy they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, you know, Jerry Moody, we could have Jerry Moody. I mean, how many people have actually sat down informally and talked to the town council? What do you do, Jerry? What are the issues that you see happening, you know,
Sure.
in the next 12 to 18 months?
Sure.
I mean,
Or we might even look into the accounting department. Zach could
It
come
could-
to.
Oh, yeah.
one of the
Yes.
meetings. Yeah.
Yep.
yes,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, it's very difficult to have any personal interaction with these people. They're doing their jobs, they're employees, and they interact generally with the same people. And but the general population doesn't really interact with them for the most part, and so
He doesn't know what they do.
doesn't know what they do. So we're you know, we're trying to bridge that gap a little bit.
Excellent. So another thing that we'll be working on for next year, we're going to do the Christmas tree lighting again, and some downtown decorating. We one of our subcommittees actually worked to get various decorations for downtown for various times of the year.
Notice the
Right.
banners
Yep.
and lights, and there's a way for them to go up and come down and
Yep.
get changed and get properly stored.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It is happening.
It is
has happened.
And we're going to have, you know, we didn't talk about it that much, but, you know, in late March, we will have a candidates forum
Yep.
for the local election.
For the local
you know.
election, any contested races as usual, right?
Well, yeah, it's, you know, right, you know, you don't know, but whatever it is, would be selectmen. I think Selectman Murray is up this time. He might have a challenger, he might not. But all the way down the, you know, whatever, so we'll do something like that a week or two before the April, I think it's April 4th is the town election. And then there's a national and state well, there's a national, you know, for president.
Right.
But also Congress. So that would be in November. So we would have, you know, if there's any contested races for, well, like, you know, John Fernandes or Ryan Fatman, they're up for
Exactly.
re-election. Joe
Yep.
Kennedy is up for re-election. So if there's any contests there, we'll have another candidates forum in late October.
That one that we had last October was very well attended. We had
It was.
quite a crowd in the upper
Yeah.
chamber of the town hall.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had a good
Surprising,
turnout.
huh?
I think we had about,
Yeah.
what, 300, 400 people there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was with Senator Moore and
Senator Moore and Ryan
And again,
Fatman.
great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great forum. I was
Yeah.
really pleased
I
with,
mean, that was-
with how that turned out.
Yes, I mean, it was you know, you really have to shake your head how, you know, Ryan Fatman came out of really nowhere to beat a 30-year incumbent, maybe more. I mean, I was.
Well, he didn't come out of nowhere. He came out of knocking on doors all
Well,
year
yes,
long.
true.
I got to give Ryan
he
a
did- he
lot
did
of
the
credit
shoe
for
leather
the
part.
wholesale campaigning that he did. He
Yep.
did a lot of
He
campaigning.
did, but nobody, you know, nobody knew him. You know, he went to their homes and then went back. I mean, I've heard so many stories of times where, you know, he came to people's houses 3 different times over the course of the summer,
Yeah.
and he remembered their names, their kids' names, and that impressed people. And
Yep.
he was very articulate, and he was only like 31 years old, but he, you know, I observed this guy is very, very capable of communicating. You know, for a 31-year-old guy, very impressive. Of course, you know, Dick Moore, everybody has known Dick Moore.
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
beat a guy that was in the Senate, you know, chairman of the Health Care Committee, I mean, he's been, you know, you know, in a way, it's sort of refreshing about democracy. You know, it's like, it was almost like a David and Goliath.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
David, you know, guess who won?
I was one of those people that, who is this guy, you know?
Right.
And, you know, my vote is with Dick Moore.
Yeah.
I've always voted for Dick, you know?
Yeah.
And then I met Ryan, and I sat down with him and he gave me a half-hour chat,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me all the things he believed in, and then he gave me a summary of all the stuff he had done already.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks the walk. He really does.
Yep.
When he says he's going to do something, he does it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, I happen to agree with Steve, and I'll even take it one step further. I think this kid is gonna go places. He's got talent. And I don't say that about a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
He's got political talent.
Not just political talent, but he's got the smarts to see what works and what doesn't work,
Yeah.
you know, and the values to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
So also on our agenda for 2016 is going to be another First Responders Day.
Yes.
Do we
Yep.
have any kind of plans going on for that?
Yes, we've got some preliminary plans. We're gonna do everything that we did this past, organizing the businesses and the show of support across the community. But we're gonna enhance it by having like an event maybe at Draper Park, where there's some speeches, there's some music, there's, a recognition we would like to get the entire fire department and police department and EMTs there with their families, and have maybe both chiefs make a speech, or the chairman of the board of selectmen.
But just to give some recognition to these guys
Yes.
that
They do a great
Yeah.
job, and they it should, and it's really growing across the country. As I said, there's 27 states that have September 27th as First Responders Day now, and I bet you it's going to expand even further next year.
Yeah, what came to me was that little thing that we had at the selectmen's meeting where the selectmen recognized them. The whole room was filled with first responders that
Yeah.
came there. You could just see the looks on their eyes. That, somebody finally knows that we're here and we're doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
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 It was touching, really.
Good. Well, let's continue to do what we're doing. We're down to about our last minute
Okay.
of the program. So I think that the message from my corner is I think we're doing the right thing. I think Citizens for Milford is an awesome organization, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that the two of you are leading us, and we're doing some really good things for the town. Let's keep doing what we're doing.
You betcha.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think both Steve and myself enjoy it very much.
Yeah.
And
We enjoy the people in that core group. It's amazing. They're amazing people.
yeah, very talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, very talented and diverse.
Yeah, I got to give a lot of I don't want to give shout outs by name, but there's a lot of people in that core group that really they really put out a lot of work, a lot of quality work.
Quality work, yeah.
And it's really tremendous to see between our internet presence at citizensformilford.com, our Facebook page. The work that goes into that stuff. It's not something that's just an easy task that someone does in half a minute. A lot of thought and a lot of planning has to go into all that kind of stuff. The press releases and everything else that our group does. I'm really proud to be a part of this group.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. You've been watching All Politics is Local. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. For more information about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, feel free to visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, everybody.